I learned this the hard way. The sneakers you're planning to travel with is one of the most important elements for any trip, and it's one I used to decide on a whim. The average person walks about 4,000 steps per day at home. When you travel, that number jumps to 20,000. You're putting 5 times the normal stress on footwear that was designed for your daily coffee run, not a 12-hour exploration of a new city. So especially if you're traveling or planning to travel often, choosing the right pair or pairs of sneakers is very helpful. I want to give you some tips throughout this video so you don't make the same mistakes I've made before, because some of the key points for a travel sneaker might even seem counterintuitive. Let's start with the basics: style and comfort. You've got your comfortable running shoes, the ones that feel like clouds. You've got those stylish sneakers that look great in photos. I'm thinking you've got your favorite pick in one of those categories, but I would like to recommend you add a couple of variables to those categories: setting and occasion. Those indicate what you're wearing, whether it is for the things you're planning to do or the temperature you'll be facing. And the style of sneakers are probably not going to fit every kind of outfit you got. You could try and bring 2 pairs, but as a seasoned veteran, I'd advise against that unless it's a really specific or long trip. Think about the last time you traveled. Really think about it. How many times did you change your shoes in a single day? If you're like most people, the answer is 0. You put them on in the morning and they stay on until you collapse into bed 14 hours later. You walk through airports, navigate public transportation, climb stairs to museums, stand in line for restaurants, trek across parks, and somehow end up walking like 25,000 steps without even realizing it. And the next day, you're waking up late for all the activities you want to cram in on a single run. And this means you might even forget you packed a second pair that took up a great deal of space on your suitcase. So, unless you need them for something really specific and it's not advisable that you choose an option that fits every category of the trip, avoid it. Even then, give it a second guess. I've gone on more than one trip where I'm going to a wedding and sightseeing the next day on the same all-black pair while managing to look, or at the very least feel, good. The next key point that also seems basic but is often overlooked is waterproofing. I like to mention this because of the countless times I've heard, "These shoes are fine, it's not like I'm going to hiking or anything," and then regret it when they forgot to take rain into account. And here's the thing about wet shoes in a foreign city: you can't just go home and change. You're stuck. You're miles away from your backup shoes or a potentially expensive and over-budget expense on a new pair, and every step starts making this squelching, nightmarish sound that echoes through your memories. Not much else to say about this one, but it's worth mentioning as something to consider. Now we're getting to the counterintuitive ones. Weight distribution. Pick up your current travel sneakers right now. Seriously, go grab them. Notice how they feel in your hand. Probably light, maybe even surprisingly light. The industry has spent decades convincing us that lighter equals better for travel. Less weight means less fatigue, right? Wrong. Completely backwards. A 2023 study from the Journal of Biomechanics found something that shattered this assumption. Researchers had people walk in shoes of varying weights and measured their energy expenditure and muscle fatigue. The results were shocking. Shoes that weighed 50 to 75 grams more actually reduced overall fatigue during long walks. Why? Because the extra weight came from better cushioning and support structures that prevented the small muscular corrections your feet constantly make on uneven surfaces. Every time you step on a cobblestone, a subway grate, a slightly uneven sidewalk, your feet make hundreds of tiny adjustments. In minimal shoes, your muscles do all that work. In properly structured shoes, the shoe itself absorbs much of that variation. Over 20,000 steps, the energy savings from better structure completely outweighs, literally, the cost of carrying a few extra grams. I know, you've now went ahead and bought those worker or combat boots after that, didn't you? Well, I hope you kept the receipt, because now we need to consider the next part that I like to label as convenience. Pop quiz. What's the #1 reason travelers have problems at TSA security? If you said liquids, you're wrong. If you said electronics, closer, but still wrong. It's shoes. Especially shoes with metal shanks, thick soles, or complex structures that trigger the scanners. And even if they don't, using something that is not too complex to take off and put on again is definitely helpful on several occasions. This is why slip-on shoes became popular with frequent travelers. But most slip-on travel sneakers tend to sacrifice support structure to make them easy to remove. So if you're considering them as an option, just make sure that you've made your due diligence when it comes to testing them, just so you're not trading long-term comfort for short-term convenience. On a more focused side of comfort, structure, and convenience, let's take a closer look at insoles. The shoe needs to pass the 3 surface test. Can you comfortably walk on smooth pavement, uneven cobblestones, and wet surfaces without changing anything about your gait? If you have to walk differently on any of those 3 surfaces, the shoe fails. For sole thickness, a good rule of thumb is 20 to 25 millimeters of sole between your foot and the ground. Less than that, and you'll feel every pebble after a few days. More than that, and you lose ground feedback, which increases ankle roll risk on uneven surfaces. Most running shoes fail on cobblestones, too soft, too unstable. Most casual sneakers fail on wet surfaces, no grip, poor drainage. Most hiking shoes fail on smooth pavement, too stiff, too heavy for extended flat walking. The shoes that usually pass all 3, they're not marketed as travel shoes at all. They're approach shoes, the category climbers use for the walk to the base of a climb. They need grip for rock, stability for trails, and enough comfort for hours of walking. They're designed to transition between environments, which is exactly what travel demands, so I think they're worth a look in most cases. Next up is something very tricky: smell. When you're traveling, you're often using the same shoes day after day after day in different climates, different humidity levels, with different activity intensities. Materials matter enormously here, but not in the way you think. Everyone focuses on breathability, assuming mesh equals good. But mesh deteriorates fast, offers 0 water resistance, and dries slowly when it gets wet. You want materials that resist absorbing water in the first place, not materials that theoretically let it evaporate, eventually. Modern synthetic leathers and treated textiles are your friends here. They shed water, resist odor-causing bacteria, and maintain structure over thousands of miles. Yes, they're less breathable than mesh, but you know what? A slightly warmer foot beats a soaking wet foot every single time. Speaking about materials and fabric as a side note, you might want to consider if the construction of the sneaker has some resilience to it. This means if you're packing it, can it withstand the weight and movement without getting ruined? Also, if it's too stiff and might take up too much extra space in your luggage. This might sound like I'm going back on my one sneaker strive, but I mention it because it is also a helpful tip for other types of footwear you might need on a trip, like sandals or slippers. For my final takeaway, I'll leave you with this. The perfect travel sneaker for every trip doesn't exist, but the right compromise does. It's security-friendly enough to slip off quickly, structured enough to support 20,000 daily steps, grippy enough for rain-slicked marble, protective enough for rough terrain, and durable enough to last not just one trip, but dozens. Your feet carry you through every adventure, every unexpected turn, every sunrise view you hike 2 hours to see. They deserve more than whatever looked good or whatever was on sale. Choose wisely. Your feet and your trips will thank you. Hope you liked the video, and let me know if you'd like me to make one with my personal recommendations of specific brands and models, or what other video you'd like next.